Right. My name is Florence Nyole. I'm an architect and currently serving as the president of the Architectural Association of Kenya. I'm also a director at Ecospace Architects Limited, where I practice architecture and environmental design. From my journey, I started high school at the Kenya High School back in 2000. We were calling ourselves the Millennial Kids, and I finished in 2003. I was privileged to join Strathmore University to study IT, business IT to be precise, where I did a diploma, and I finished in 2005. I was very interested in pursuing computer science. However, I did not get the marks to join computer science at the University of Nairobi. And so I was called to the university to study math. And I was not very comfortable because I didn't know in terms of career choices where that would take me. And I was very passionate about architecture and working with my hands, and I had it as one of my choices. So I got a chance to do an interfaculty transfer, which enabled me to join the Department of Architecture in 2005, where I did the two-tier program with the Bachelor of Architectural Studies, graduated in 2009, and then Bachelor of Architecture, graduated in 2011. I must say both I was able to graduate with first-class honors in the same. I'm currently pursuing my master's in architecture and environmental design, which is what I practice with my day-to-day activities. I'm very excited about it. I would not imagine such an honorable feat. I think being young and leading the profession at such an age is a privilege and an honor. And also being a woman, I think it's in a male-dominated field, it's a privilege to be able to lead my fellow professionals in the built environment during such a time. So I'm really honored that they would consider me for such a finalist award. I'm a stickler for excellence. I've tried as much as possible to be excellent in the things that I do. Even in my architectural practice, it's very important that we emulate excellence. I believe Aristotle talked about excellence as a habit, so in the things that we do continuously, just to emulate excellence. I've been an award-winning architect for my project at the Mara Girls Leadership School, and we recently got shortlisted for some projects also during the AAK Duracoat Awards of Excellence. I've also been a top performer in school, but most importantly, as a leader, it's important that we're also able to serve our members. Remember, the Architectural Association is an advocacy-led organization, and we're also membership-driven in the things that we do. So to be able to advocate for the profession as well as for the members of our association is very important. And this has also enabled me to be at the top. What is very important during my leadership tenure is that I've been present, I've been active, and I've tried as much as possible to elevate the status of our association. And I believe that has helped me to stand out as a leader. I think what's also important is to encourage young leaders and other female leaders to take up roles within the association. And that helps us to continuously have women at the top who can lead even as we continue to ensure that we create and promote excellence in the built environment. I think for me, I'll say that being a woman in architecture started from when I was at the university. I joined at a time when the Department of Architecture was really keen on having as many women graduate from the department as much as possible. And I'd call the heroes or the people who encourage us there as champions. We normally refer to them as he's for she's, starting with the chairman of the department, some lecturers who are really keen that the department really encourages women to finish school. And so with that, I had a very good support system at the university, and that helped me to also excel in my school work. Now, coming into the practicing field, is I found myself in an organization that was also quite keen on having a gender balance. So for every team that we're working with, for every 3 people, there was always one lady in the team. And so I joined a team that was also quite keen on ensuring that happens. Now, as I was working, I noticed that my own boss was actually already serving as the president and chairman of AAK at that time, between 2013 all the way to 2017. And it encouraged me, and I realized if he can do it, so can I. But also at the same time, in 2017, when we got the first woman president for AAK, it encouraged me, and I realized, wow, I'm not just the only one who's leading here, but I can emulate others who've led before me. And so the journey of leadership is that we never do it alone. We stand on the shoulders of those who've gone before us, other women, and also other he's for she's. I think so far, the challenges that we face as a woman in leadership stem from just the stigma around architecture and really the construction industry being a preserve for the men before. There's some stigma around having a woman there. Are you strong enough? Are you going to be standing your ground on site? Are you going to be quite keen in ensuring that the site progresses the way it should? Those are some of the things that we find there. You'll find also, even when you're in the boardroom and speaking, people do not think that you have something very important to say because you're a woman. And sometimes they even refer to you as Bwana Architect, which makes it very difficult sometimes to assert your authority during sales. So those are some of the challenges that we face. The other thing is that there are very few women also in leadership within the industry, and so it is our role and our duty for those of us who are in leadership to pull other women into the foray. But one thing I'd say is that my journey of leadership has also been influenced by my family. I have a very strong family support, starting with my mother, who's always been very encouraging. I used to see her doing the very tough things in life, fixing the fences, mending the chicken coop, fixing the television, things that ideally most people would not think should be done by women. But when I saw her doing that, then it also helped me to realize that I can pursue any field I want to at the end of the day and work with my hands. I think we are at a time when we have a lot of young graduate architects who are coming up into the industry. Remember, we have got about maybe when we were in school, I'll give that example, we were about 4 of us who graduated out of 20. And even when we started at the university, there were 7 of us out of 35. But today, when you go to the university, there are more women studying architecture. In fact, there are perhaps 50 women out of the 100 who are studying. So it's become about 50-50 in terms of the numbers. And so that helps that when they graduate, and most of them are excelling quite well in school, is that they also find us who are already in the industry, and we're able to take them on either as interns or as graduate architects or as architects eventually, and to be able to mentor them into the field of architecture. When it comes to leadership, I can say that AAK has grown since we started having more women in the leadership front. We have now executive committee, for instance. Right now, we actually 5 out of 6 are women, although at some point it started out and it used to be 2 out of 6. And before it had become 50-50. And so it's to encourage women to actually take up on all the roles of leadership. One of the things I'll say is that women lead excellently. They lead well. They lead with a nurturing spirit. They lead with care. They lead with courage. And so at a time like this, when we have so many things that we are facing as an industry in terms of the challenges that we are facing, you need also a woman who's very assertive in the way she handles her business, but at the same time very calm, very well spirited, so that you're able to actually negotiate as opposed to being very forceful. And that enables us to also make a lot of progress in some of the activities and events that we're pushing and the goals that we're pushing for the association. Yeah, one of the other ways in which we're trying to do this is to encourage also student leaders to come from the university to join the association when they are very young, and that enables them to see also the trajectory in terms of the growth patterns that they can face as leaders. And by doing so, we also have a lot of mentorship around that, the leadership within the association, and most importantly is to ensure that we are continuously succeeding and making sure that there's always a woman who either takes your place, or even if not immediately, just right behind the person who's taking your place there. So that way we also ensure that we have a continuity of many women leaders who will come after us. It's not easy, I must say. I run a practice 24/7, but at the same time I have a very good team in the office. So what I do is that Monday to Wednesday I try as much as possible to handle my personal and private business in the office, be in the office, design, draw, work with my colleagues and so on and so forth, so that I leave the latter part of the week to activities of AAK. Sometimes we are called upon on a Tuesday morning or a Monday evening to handle some of those activities, and it becomes very different and difficult for us to be able to handle that. So on the other side, as AK president, AK is run by a secretariat. We have a CEO and managers and officers who run the day-to-day activities of the association. So for us in leadership, ours is more of an executive role, to be the voice of the association, to really speak to issues, especially issues that are affecting the industry. So on an 8 to 5, what I'd say is that a lot of times I find myself in meetings, either with government, with academia, in workshops, at the end of the day, in conventions, Sometimes we're required to also be out there in the field. Like for instance, some of the activities that we're doing in terms of Mulika Mjengo campaign, I have to be out there in the streets seeing what's going on in terms of the work that our association is doing. What is also important is that sometimes I have a lot of documents to read through. That's one of the biggest things I've noticed I've had to do, and to read through them quite quickly. Letters, documents that need analysis in terms of, let's say, laws, especially the laws that we have to comment upon, new ones, old ones, codes, and so on and so forth. So I find myself doing that. But majorly I also find myself in a lot of meetings with other partners who we are collaborating with, and also international organizations where sometimes I have to represent the association in those activities. We do find ourselves traveling a lot to represent the association as well, whether it is to, to Naivasha for some workshops, or to Mombasa to discuss some of these issues, and also internationally, especially because AK is well known for the affiliations that we have internationally. So as a president, you find yourself having to balance your personal practice and the work that you're doing in terms of advocacy for the association. And I've also found that recently, because we've created a way in elevating our association, I'm finding myself a lot of times also being on mass media, discussing issues that are affecting our members, like planning of our cities, issues to do with the remuneration of our professionals, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of engagement, and it ranges from government engagement, academia, private sector, our affiliate bodies, and even the NGO world. In our office, you say if it's not flat, it has to be sharp. So we don't do roofs that are, pretending they have to be 45 degrees, 60 degrees, or we go flat. That way you're also able to make a statement with the project that you're doing. So it's either a flat roof, which is a lot of people prefer that as a contemporary style today, or it's a very sharp high roof of 45 to 60 degrees in terms of the roof structure that you have. I spend a lot of time with my family. We are a very close-knit family. I really enjoy hanging out with my nephews. They are young, and they really give me a lot of relaxation. But I'm also a very social person. I do enjoy traveling, especially on road trips. I do enjoy driving, actually, at the end of the day. I love music very much. I own a guitar, I play it, but I also like attending concerts and any musical concerts that there are, just to help me to unwind. But most importantly, I also really love my friends. I have an inner circle of friends and a chama, and I make it a point that every month I get to meet all of them at once, and just to unwind, to catch up, to talk to them, and be able to, compare notes in terms of the things that are happening in our lives. Yeah. I think the most rewarding job for an architect is to actually have your project built and to go to site. We have a lot of what we call shelf projects that are just drawn, but they never go to site. So when a project goes to site, it means you have a portfolio that will be visible to the world. I think from AAK side, I think my most rewarding moment is when we push for something and we eventually get some audience, especially when it comes to government. We get some audience, also creating opportunities for our members. I know right now we're talking about affordable housing. We really push to make sure that all our members are able to access these projects and be able to be part of nation building. And I'm very happy to say that quite a number of firms and consortia that applied for these jobs back in 2023 are now currently engaged, and they're going to be earning fees, especially at a time when the construction industry was experiencing a lull. And so for us, that's a big win in terms of the things that we're doing. I think one other thing that I'll add is that my goal and my aim coming into AAK as president was to actually elevate the association. And today I believe we are known, we are being heard, people are listening to us, they're calling us to the table. We're also able to make decisions alongside the relevant stakeholders. And that way our association has been elevated, which was the entire goal of my leadership and the entire premise upon which I campaigned to become president. I just want to be remembered as the president who elevated the AK one, but also made sure that our members have jobs, and that's very important. We can be discussing about affordable housing, but if our members are not involved, that was not going to be good for us, and that ensures that there's continuity and there's business. Most importantly is also to bring back what we call professionalization of the industry. We need to have plans for our urban areas. We need to have professionals being used in all the projects. And so even the campaigns that we're running, like Jeuna Mjengo, Mulika Mjengo, we've taken them a notch higher. And I hope in the near future, even as we're currently working on our strategic plan, we'll be able to see all these things that we've been doing in the past taking on to the next leadership. in leadership, if you're not doing it now, you'll never do it later. So I only plan to run for AAK for this season, which is 2023 to 2025. Thereafter, I hope to continue in leadership within the industry, the built environment professional industry, whether it's in the international affiliation bodies, but at the same time, just to continue in excellence in the things that I do.